So we will continue our session with Major General Danny Yatom, an ex-Mossad chief from 1996 to 1998. The topic is security, intelligence, and regional cooperation in the East Mediterranean, overcoming challenges and building a more stable future. Mr. Yatom wants to share with us a short presentation first, so I will invite him to the podium, and afterwards we will start discussing. And I think that we have a lot to discuss about, especially in the last few hours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be here and to share with you my views about security and intelligence, or maybe more accurate to say, about a situation when you do not have an intelligence warning. And this is what happened on the 7th of October, 2023, in Israel, very early in the morning, when thousands of Hamas terrorists invaded the villages, the Israeli villages, which are adjacent to the border, on the border between the Gaza Strip and Israel. Those terrorists, in a merciless and cruel way, showed us what does it mean, a hell. The citizens of Israel woke up to a hell. 3,000 of those terrorists invaded our villages. They were well-trained, well-equipped, and they made their mission to kill as many Israelis as possible, regardless the age. And infants at the age of less than 1 year, and elderly people at the ages of more than 90 years were slaughtered in cold blood, trying to escape the massacre. It was a brutal massacre. Those terrorists indiscriminately fire on everybody. And everybody, every Israeli, was for them a justified target. They murdered, they slaughtered, they raped women and men, and there was, unfortunately, a fail of intelligence, something that after so many years of serving in the military, in the Mossad, in the Prime Minister's office of Israel, and as a member of the parliament, I cannot understand. I really cannot understand how could it happen. Such a failure, such a mishandling of all the apparatuses and all the echelons, civilian, political, and military, and intelligence, that had to defend the Israeli citizens. So it was a total surprise. I remember the surprise of the Yom Kippur War. I was a young deputy commander of a tank battalion in the Sinai. We were surprised, caught under total surprise. The Egyptian airplanes bombed us. Only then we realized that the war broke out. But in this case, it was much more difficult because the war went on an Israeli soil and in places dense with civilians. It was very, very difficult. This Saturday, about half a year ago, 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered at the same time, the biggest disaster ever of the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And in addition to it, some 250 were abducted to the Gaza Strip, and now Hamas is not willing to negotiate in order to release them, There are some 133 hostages at the hands of the Hamas, but Hamas admitted already that he does not know where the abouts of all the refugees, the kidnapped, and we are doing our utmost in order to release them. This is the first and the foremost goal of the war that goes on since the 27th of October in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. The Israeli Defense Forces rehabilitated and recovered fast and waged a war against Hamas, penetrating into the area of the Gaza Strip and starting to fight. Now, this is a very complicated fighting because our soldiers face not only the usual three dimensions, which are air, land, and sea, but additional dimension, which is the underground. There is in the Gaza a whole city underneath the surface, between 500 and 750 kilometers of tunnels that were built in many, many, many years, while Hamas was using the building elements, and instead of building houses to the poor people that reside in the Gaza Strip, they took it mainly in order to build those tunnels. Since the War of Independence that took place in 1948, we never lost even one village. It was the first time since 1948 that the Hamas succeeded to invade our territory and to control Jewish settlements for 1 or 2 days. Then they were pushed back to the Gaza Strip. Now Hamas, after waging the attacks against the villages, systematically went door to door, house to house, trying to locate everybody and to shoot him or her in the head. They abused alive people and dead ones. They raped women and men. They slaughtered everybody, and it was an awful, awful picture to those that were there. Unfortunately, the war at the beginning, there was not enough force at the beginning to defend the border and their area without intelligence. Of course, it is a failure because as a military operator, you have to make sure that even if there is no early warning and the intelligence collapses, you have a way to defend and to fulfill your mission. This, unfortunately, did not happen. The main problem was conception or misconception. There was a belief amongst the government, headed by the Prime Minister, and amongst the top brass, the high-ranking officers in the intelligence apparatuses and in the Israeli Defense Forces, that Hamas is deterred. And Hamas was never deterred. Due to the thinking that Hamas is deterred, the attitude toward the area was as if Hamas is so weak that Hamas will never ever dare to attack Israel. And the results we have seen. The situation in the Middle East does not involve only Hamas. The main enemy to Israel is Iran, which is also the main enemy to many other nations in the world. And Iran operates through proxies, those elements that Iran builds, finance, trains, gives order, and operates through the proxies. The proxies are the Hezbollah in the north, Shiite militias in Syria and Iraq, the Hamas in the south, some cells, pockets of terror organizations in Judea and Samaria, Iran itself. Iran has in its possession ground-to-ground missiles, drones, and cruise missiles. All of them cover more than 1,500 kilometers, which is the distance between Iran and Israel. Now there is a new tension in the Middle East because Iran claims that Israel killed a very top, high-ranking Iranian general that was situated in Damascus, and Iran is looking for revenge. And we told them, we never took responsibility, that if Iran will dare to fire at us, at Israel, from an Iranian soil, we will attack the targets on the soil of Iran, because we do not have any other way. We cannot be weak. We should not show any weakness, because those are the rules in the Middle East. Not only the concept brought us to some non-real decisions. In addition to it, we deployed highly technological systems, mainly observation systems, that could identify and locate every infiltrator. Those systems, highly developed ones, didn't function in the time of truth, because Hamas, that studied our weak points, destroyed the system so that nobody could use it in order to observe the border with the Gaza Strip. The Israeli Defense Forces has until today very important goals. The goals, firstly, the goals of the war is first and foremost humanitarian, to bring the hostages back, and we don't know how many out of those 133 are still alive, because conditions in the captivity of Hamas are awful. And the second mission of the Israeli Defense Forces is to destroy the civilian and the military systems through which Hamas use to control the Gaza Strip. But again, it is not enough, because we look at Iran, and Iran worries us, because Iran is running fastly in order to achieve nuclear capability. Iran today has enough enriched uranium to the level of 60% that is enough to build 3 atomic bombs. Only one is needed in order to deter the world. In such a case, while Iran is nuclear, and if Iran will become nuclear, today Iran is a threshold country, nuclear country. If Iran becomes nuclear, it is a disaster. It will impose an existential threat to the state of Israel, and we will not tolerate. Now we need the assistance of the United States, we need the assistance of the European countries. Today, the battlefield and the war changed. The main enemies all over the world are not anymore lines of tanks, only in Ukraine. Yes, we use tanks in the Gaza, but in close distances and in a dense area. It was not like a collision between two big armed forces equipped with tank and some other weapons that we have seen and witnessed in the Yom Kippur War. And we have to adjust our defense system and our defense concept to the new nature of terror, which is on one hand above conventional, this is nuclear, and on the other end, below conventional, which is the terror. So, last but not least, I think that there is a possibility to solve the conflict, not necessarily using force. We have to try with the United States of America and others to come to the table, to discuss the issue, to build an American coalition with elements like Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, all the moderate countries, in order to tackle and to confront the Iranian coalition, which consists from Iran and all the proxies, and assisted by North Korea, China, and Russia. Last but not least, the United States helped us and assist us in a major way, and of course for that we are thankful. We will continue to do whatever is needed and to combine political ways and military ways until, hopefully, in due time, we will be able not only to manage the conflict, but also to solve the conflict. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Major General. We have some time for a couple of questions. So, you already mentioned the failure of the intelligence services on the 7th of October, slaughters from Hamas. But what are the elements of that failure? Some people had said that, Israel has been very relied upon modern technology and skipped the actual old school, if I may say, intelligence that, of course, you are very well aware of. Is this actual? Is that true?
I don't think that this is the main problem. The main problem is hubris. Hubris. The chiefs of the different arms of the armed forces convince themselves, along with the prime minister, that Hamas is deterred. And now if Hamas is deterred, you should not attack Hamas because it is deterred. You should give him money in order to take care of the population in Gaza. And if you don't, politically wise, you do not want a Palestinian state to be created, then suppress the Palestinian Authority. This was the policy based on some deception of the Hamas, some conception, and I think that conception was, as it was in the Yom Kippur War, that we thought that the Egyptians will not wage a war unless they will get all the anti-air Russian systems. And they did not get it and wage a war. And they surprised us. So in this area of fighting, etc., you have to take into consideration many surprises. And you have to be ready with your forces to be in a situation of surprise and to get out of it and to win. We were not smart enough. This is the real, the real reason. But in addition to it, it was not only conception. Due to the conception, the forces along the border were very weak because Hamas is not going to attack. The intelligence apparatuses were calm. There was, at the night between the 6th and the 7th, there was a conference telephone call between the chief of staff, the head of the ISA, and some others, because there were some signals, suspicious ones. Nobody thought that 3,000 terrorists will invade Israel. The maximum that the intelligence spoke about was 70 attacking terrorists. And then during the night, 4 o'clock or something like that, a.m., there was a discussion. The chief of staff and the others decided that this is not a real warning. They went back to bed, and when they woke up the next time, it was when they heard the missiles and the rockets fired at Israel.
Now, I would like to close our discussion with Iran. The last few hours, we have warnings from the United States, from Israel as well, that a pending attack, we don't know the form yet, is going to happen against Israel. A moment ago, you said that maybe there should be two coalitions, the one under U.S.-led and the Sunnite Arab countries of the region, against Iran and its proxies. But, to some, naive and possibly not so well-informed audience, that would look like a rehearsal of a world war, especially since, as you already mentioned, China and Russia are not very clear about whose side they're on. So, are we there now?
I don't think so. Firstly, the arrangement that I was talking about, coalition, it is not my idea, it is the idea of President Biden of the United States that called upon building an axis of moderate countries against the axis of evil, which is the axis of Iran and the others. I think that the Iranians are not, this is my opinion, I'm not anymore in any official post, but I can make an assessment. Iran does not want to be caught under a full-fledged war. It is not the interest of Iran. And you know why? Surprisingly, Iran is deterred a little bit, not totally, but deterred a little bit about the United States and about Israel. We have how to retaliate. We have the weapon systems. We have better weapon systems than the Iranians. So if they will retaliate, I think that it will be, let's say, a moderate retaliation. I don't say by that no Israelis will be killed. Maybe it will kill also some Israelis. But Iran will not go full-fledged to a war against Israel and the West. Iran has a lot of patience. We know it. They have patience, and they will continue to build their atomic bomb. Once they will have an atomic bomb in their hands, then there might be a world war.
Thank you, Mr. Yatom. Thank you for listening to us. Have a good day.
Thank you.